In some ways, January is one of the worst times of year for horror movies, but in other ways, it's one of the best times because the movies coming out are so bad that it gives you the opportunity to go back and catch up on all the good movies you missed. I'm still not going to go see Night Swim, guys. It's not happening. That being said, if enough of you subscribe to this channel, right now, for instance, maybe just hit the button or something, then I could get a Patreon and do this full time and become wildly rich, and then I wouldn't have any excuses. I'd have to go see Night Swim for you. I don't even know why I'm doing this bit. Literally nobody has asked me to go see Night Swim, and now no one wants to subscribe either. But welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and recently my attention was grabbed by a horror movie that came out a couple years ago on Paramount Plus. It's called Significant Other, and guys, we gotta talk. I absolutely love that feeling when you know almost nothing about a movie, but you take a chance on it anyway and walk away feeling totally rewarded for it. I also love when you enjoy a film and it ends and only 80 minutes of your life have passed. Alright, this movie's been out for a while, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a spoiler-free section right up front where I try to sell you on watching this movie, and then for those of you who have already seen it, I'm gonna do a spoiler section afterwards that you can come back to. You'll know when that part's coming because I'm gonna warn you verbally, probably several times, and I'm probably gonna show a little spoiler alert graphic right there too. So Significant Other stars Maika, Monroe, and Jake Lacy as a couple backpacking through the woods, but the deeper they get, they find a little bit more than they bargained for. And I actually think that's all I'm going to tell you about the plot. I want you to go into this as blind as possible. Because what do you have to lose? It's 80 minutes long. And to me, the first thing that really stands out about Significant Other is the level of intrigue that it manages to sustain throughout, right? It's answering your questions at a decent clip, but it's also raising so many new ones that you as a viewer never feel like you're being, what's next? The amount of twists and turns and holy shit, I didn't see that one comings that this movie manages to pack into its very short runtime is just frankly insane. And this incredibly fun plot is carried perfectly by these two lead performances. Maika Monroe headlines this just as well as she's headlined approximately 1,200 other horror movies over the last decade. I honestly wonder with her at this point, is it like she's just scared of nothing or she's scared of absolutely everything? It's gotta be one of the two. I mean, you could see how being in all these crazy movies it'd make you just completely paranoid about noises, you got 100 nightlights on in the middle of the day kind of thing. Or maybe she's just got balls of steel at this point. A bunch of clown mask wearing, knife wielding lunatics break into her house in the middle of the night. She's like, bitch, I was in It Follows. Speaking of which, I've never reviewed It Follows on this channel, but I do have to say that one scare, you know the one I'm talking about, the tall guy, is one of the best horror movie scares of all time. Anyway, Maika Monroe's very good in this, and I also really liked her boyfriend, Jake Lacy. I really only recognized him from that terrible last season of The Office. But this guy is actually hilarious in this movie in some ways that are just really surprising. I'm sorry to be such a... I'm speaking in riddles at this point. It's just, I don't want to give anything away. And just to keep it going on the theme of like how surprising this movie is, the budget is clearly, you know, next to nothing. It was made, written, directed by two guys who don't even have Wikipedia pages, which historically that's not a great sign in my experience. But I absolutely would not be surprised to see more from Dan Burke and Robert Olson in the future, because they had a very clear vision for this movie and they kept it tight. Now, looking online, it does seem like people are kind of split over this movie. I think mostly because there's a really significant tonal shift at one point. So if you're expecting like a 100%, you know, straight-laced horror drama the whole way through, the movie does, you know, tend in that direction for a lot of the runtime, but for part of the runtime, it does go in other directions too. The good thing though is that you can never totally tell, you know, is it just gonna switch back to the tone that we just barely had? That is to say, even when it's funny, there's always the potential for the darkness to return full force. So while you may see this and think, well, you know, that started off strong and then took a dive, I actually thought it was almost the opposite. I found myself liking the movie a lot more as it went along. And I'm also just gonna say, I thought this movie had some interesting things to say, especially near the end, and I might even just be imagining it, but I did like the vibes it was putting out. I'll get more into that in the spoiler section, but for now, that will do. In the meantime, I am going to wholeheartedly recommend that you watch Significant Other as soon as possible. It's fun, it's exciting, it's short, and I am gonna give Significant Other 4 stars out of 5. Okay, guys, spoiler talk ahead. If you haven't seen this movie, get out of here, go watch it, come back once you've seen it. I'm stalling now to give you enough time to, you know, like this video and subscribe to my channel before you go. But that's it, guys. Time's up. Spoiler talk begins now. Okay, so, aliens. Kick ass. Love a good alien. You basically know this is an alien movie from the moment it starts, but I gotta say the precise nature of the alien was kind of surprising to me. It reminded me of Annihilation. I saw someone online say this is Annihilation for the TikTok generation, which they said kind of snarky. You could tell it was intended as an insult, but honestly, I think you could just take it as it's Annihilation, but it makes sense. Because for all its weirdness, the plot is pretty straightforward here, right? Maika goes into a cave by herself, sees something that makes her scream. She comes out acting all weird, and you're like, oh, she's the alien. alien now. She then pushes her boyfriend off a cliff and kills him. There was no life insurance policy involved or anything like that, so you're still like, yeah, alien. Checks out. But then this fucker comes back and he's got these knife fingers, and these very nice people try to help Maika and he just kills their ass. And you realize that what she actually saw in the cave was her boyfriend dead. So she knows that whatever this is, that's not her boyfriend, so that's why she pushes him off the cliff. It's a great plot twist. And then in my view, we get an even better one, which is that the alien immediately falls head over heels in love with this girl. And this whole portion of the movie, I know some people were saying the tonal shift was super jarring. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Jake Lacy is so good in these scenes. He's like trying to kill her, and then he's like, fuck, I can't do it!
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
And I love the concept of an alien like replicating a human and taking on all their memories and emotions, but not actually recognizing the emotions or knowing how to deal with them. So he's like, love. What is this? And then that takes a slightly less comedic tone when the alien replicates our girl and has one of the panic attacks that she is always having. That's how she's able to escape, which again, that's pretty cool. Now, of course, this movie wraps things up a bit nihilistically in that, you know, the world's gonna end. This alien was just a scout. All the rest of them are coming. All the asteroids are coming down as the credits roll. But actually, nihilist isn't the right word. Let's go with existentialist. Read Camus, something like The Plague, right? Which is a great post-COVID read, by the way. He basically confronts all the sufferings and, frankly, the absurdity of life without trying to minimize it or wish it away. Basically acknowledging just that, you know, everything might be pointless, everything might be hopeless, who knows? We don't know almost anything, so there's really nothing to do but just straighten up and try your best. And that was kind of the read I had on the end of this movie, because Maika Monroe's character, you know, she's just suffers with debilitating anxiety, panic attacks, and so, you know, when all of this crazy stuff happens to her, she seems like the kind of character who's just gonna deal with it by curling up into a ball. But there's a bit of the triumph of the human spirit going on here. She allows this ordeal to turn her into something a bit more resourceful and stronger than I think she expects. And yeah, the situation sucks, right? Her boyfriend's dead, and there's aliens coming, and the world's probably ending, but she does what it takes to escape anyway, and drives away with a determined look on her face. So even amidst the total absurdity that is the second half of this movie, there is also something resembling hope. Aw. Or probably it's just not that serious, I don't know. Alright guys, as always, stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. And in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.